So Ankit, you are your last, but speaking about an extremely important campaign that you are a part of, and I can understand how challenging it must be running a clean air campaign for the Delhi government, trying to engage citizens and talk about how they can reduce, I mean, they can get involved and reduce air pollution or emissions on at their individual or colony or resident welfare association front. So would love to hear from you about what your experience have been, what your challenges have been in the last 1.5 months of this campaign. Ankit.
Sure. Thanks, Brikesh. Over the next 5-6 minutes, what I would do is two things. One, just give a brief context of how the entire campaign was designed this time around. And two, specifically, what were some of the challenges that we faced. And we hope to learn from these challenges and make sure that increasingly over time, over years, we take care of these challenges in a better way. Just to set some overall context, Delhi, a city or a city state of 2 crore population, overall campaign called Yudh Pradushan ke Virudh was already launched by the government beginning last year. Some more context on what are the contributors to pollution of Delhi. As per different reports by Terry in 2016 and by the IITM Suffer data between 24th October and 7th November, large part of Delhi's pollution comes from outside. 60 to 70% on an average comes from outside, whereas 30 to 40% pollution is generated inside Delhi by the 2 crore citizens. But then does that mean that there is nothing that citizens within Delhi can do? Of course not. And that was the genesis of the campaign that got launched this year by the Delhi government, where we helped them design the campaign, which was called Aao Milkar Apne Hisse Ka Pradushan Kam Kare. There's 30% contribution that citizens of Delhi do. And then if each of the citizens come and try to solve for their own pollution sources, their own pollution contribution, at least a large part of contributions from within Delhi can be solved. Now, there are 4 key things when we end up designing a campaign and running it. First is deciding on a call to action. जैसे स्वच्छ भारत में था कि आप टॉयलेट बनाइए या आप बाहर शौच के लिए नहीं जाइए, जैसे स्कूल चले हम कैंपेन में था कि आप अपने बच्चों को स्कूल भेजें, उसी तरह से आओ मिलकर अपने हिस्से का प्रदूषण कम करें में what should be that specific call to action that the government would request the citizens to do? That is first. Second is dissemination. How does this call to action gets disseminated to various citizens, various different groups of citizens, youth, adults, school-going children, office goers, domestic servants, housewives, construction workers? How does this message or this call to action get disseminated among all of these stakeholders? Third is people taking individual actions. Me taking an action, you taking an action at your own level. And finally, when a lot of people start taking those individual actions, a lot of publicity keeps happening through word of mouth. That is when it becomes a Jan Andolan, or that is when it becomes a public movement through which large scale change can happen. So I'll go through one by one what were the challenges that we faced in designing this challenge. First, call to action. As I said, स्वच्छ भारत मिशन वाज अ वेरी क्लियर कॉल टू एक्शन. खुले में शौच के लिए मत जाइए, या अपने घर में टॉयलेट बनाइए, बाहर कचरा मत फेंकिए. दीज आर क्लियर कॉल टू एक्शंस. स्कूल चले हम, अगेन क्लियर, आप अपने बच्चों को स्कूल भेजें. In pollution, there are many different sources of pollution that citizens can help reduce. However, if we were to go by the biggest pollution contributor in Delhi, transport, even within transport, there are multiple actions that a citizen can do, beginning with reducing their dependence on private vehicles and choosing public transport more often. If they are using private vehicles, then making sure that the pollution under check certificate is up to speed, up to date. There is no polluting vehicles that are there. If they are standing on the red light, then they should switch off their engine so that there is less pollution over there. So even within transport, there are multiple call to actions that the government needs to reach out to citizens with. Additionally, the health impact of pollution is also something that should figure out in the call to action, saying, look, if you do not take action at your level, this is the number of years of life expectancy that might reduce over time. So the call to action itself, given it's so broad-based, it's so all-encompassing, becomes difficult to be very specific about in a campaign like this. However, this year the government decided on 3 specific call to action: red light on, gadi off, bus ek trip kam, reduce 1 trip per week on personal vehicles. And third was around Green Delhi app, through which citizens could report a lot of pollution happening. But largely the first challenge was having a very, very specific call to action, which became difficult. Two, in terms of dissemination, as I said, there are various audiences. There are the youth, there are office goers, there are daily wagers, security guards, and all of them again have different actions to take to reduce apne hisse ka Pradushan. And there were different mediums which we also got to use. Outdoor media, banners and posters went up, TV ads, radio ads, digital ads, newspaper ads. There was a website which got created just to disseminate information on pollution and the sources. There was a WhatsApp chatbot for specifically engaging the youth called Paryavaran Sathi, which got, there were events which got organized in RWAs with the help of a lot of civil society organization. Ragiri started to restarted in Delhi, with the main theme being reducing pollution. Walks and seminars to make people aware of Green Delhi. So a lot of these different mechanisms were used to make citizens aware. But then when there are 2 crore citizens who need to be made aware of what they need to do, the cost and the resources required to implement all of these dissemination mechanisms to the level or at the quality that you would want to be doing, that becomes really, really high. Coming to the third one, individual action. The challenge in individual action is a challenge I also at times face, which is motivation. केवल मेरे करने से क्या होगा? ठीक है, मैं तो एक दिन पब्लिक ट्रांसपोर्ट यूज कर लूंगा, बट देन बाकी 2 करोड़ लोगों को भी तो पब्लिक ट्रांसपोर्ट यूज करना है, या एटलीस्ट 10 लाख लोग जिनके पास गाड़ी है उनको भी तो पब्लिक ट्रांसपोर्ट यूज करना है. सो द गेटिंग सिटीजन्स टू रजिस्टर द मैसेज but convert that message into action on ground, that really becomes difficult when running a campaign like this. And again, if I draw parallel with Swachh Bharat Mission, citizens ne toilet bana liya, so there is some amount of guarantee that the message has reached them, but are they really using that toilet or not still remains a challenge. Similarly here, people might know कि हमें अपने हिस्से का प्रदूषण कम करना है, but are they actually doing it or not? That becomes a challenge. And then the challenge for government is how do we track whether people are actually actioning upon these requests from the government side? That ends up remaining a challenge. Finally, on all of these individual actions converting into a Jan Andolan, of course, Delhi government this time around did a lot of partnerships and collaborations. Many organizations from the Clean Air Collective started organizing events on ground. RWAs were invited to hold discussions at the government level. Many SDMs, the subdivisional magistrates, held meeting with the RWAs. Some organizations like Seed, Warrior Moms, Ragiri, all of them started contributing or participating and organizing events at their own level. But then the problem that we realized was with this Jan Andolan was that a lot of it was or still continues to be short-lived. So there is this duration of 15-20 days or at max a month, where there is a lot of conversation about pollution, a lot of conversation about its impact on health. But then how do we continue this Jan Andolan for a prolonged period of time? That still remains a challenge. So essentially these 4 steps in which we think the campaign was run and challenges that we faced with each of them. What call to action to decide, how to disseminate that call to action, how to ensure that people end up taking individual action, and then how to ensure that individual actions get converted to a Jan Andolan kind of a thing. So that is all about our experience of working with the Delhi government this time around. We hope to learn from this experience, hope to engage with more of you in times to come, and next year around have a campaign which is more continued throughout the year, as well as able to reach more people and get them to act on how they can reduce their contribution to pollution. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Ankit, for in short and brief summing it up. And I know you've arrived at this juncture through multiple meetings, and some of the folks in the collective have also been a part of those brainstorming sessions. So wishing you all the best, and I hope that as time goes, we'll get to see more participation and engagement from citizens at large in Delhi. There will always be problems, I'm sure, but one has to sometimes come together and look at focusing on solutions while the bigger issue gets taken care of.